I'm always looking for the most square footage that I could possibly get and then figuring out how can I use that better than it's already being used. So definitely I like big houses. I don't want to deal with an area with snow that has to be shoveled and roofs that go out from constantly having rain and snow dumped on them and pipes that burst if the property is vacant. I hate that stuff. Hey, in this episode, we're going to be talking about what I want for the 12 days of Christmas and what is on my wish list. I'm David Greene, so that's a little different than the normal person's going to have on their wish list. So here we go. My ideal property. Ooh, what would I like to see for Christmas on the ideal property? I'd want it to be a property that was already furnished. That's a pretty big one. If it's going to be a short-term rental, having to take the time, the energy, the money to go furnish a property can be exhausting and slow you down quite a bit. I like it to be big. My ideal properties, I just like big houses. I've never really been the type who really likes those 2-1 or wants to own a condo. I'm always looking for the most square footage that I could possibly get and then figuring out how can I use that better than it's already being used. So definitely I like big houses. I'd want it to be something unique. I don't really like tract homes. I don't like if I'm buying like a cabin, I don't want to be a whole bunch of cabins all lined up in a row like a bunch of sardines in a can. I like something different. I like a big lot. I like it to be separate from the other cabins. I like there to be a lot of trees in between them so you don't see. If I'm buying something that's in maybe like on the beach, I don't want the neighbors to be right next to us if I can help it. My ideal client, somebody for Christmas, please bring me this. The David Greene team needs more of these. Let's talk about what the ideal client looks like. Well, first off, they're passionate about real estate. Don't want somebody who's very just kind of like a wet blanket, just bleh. We don't want any Scrooges or any Grinches for clients. I want someone who's motivated because I'm motivated to want to help them sell their house or help them buy a house. So there's nothing worse than when you're like all excited about any kind of relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, and your partner's just me. Like, aren't you so excited? We're going to take this trip or we're going to go eat at this restaurant. And they're just like, me. And you're just trying as hard as you can to pump them up and they just don't want to get pumped up, right? They're like, if I get excited, I might get hurt. That happens in real estate too. So those clients can be really tough. I don't want to get excited about real estate because what happens if I get hurt? Motivated is very important. Now that doesn't mean stupid. I don't want a stupid client, but you know what? If that's okay if they're stupid, because as their agent, I'm going to fix that stupid. I'm not going to let them stay there. So that's okay. But I can't fix not motivated. They definitely have to be excited. My ideal client is someone who vocalizes clearly what they want, what they're happy about, what they're not happy about. We love it when they say, hey, when you did this, that's the way I like to receive information. That's the type of property I love, and here's why. We also like it if you say, hey, I'm having a hard time with getting a hold of you, getting feedback from you. I want more direction. I want less direction. Realtors love when we get direct feedback from clients because we want to make you happy. We just need to know how to do it. So the ideal client is a good communicator. They say what they like and what they don't like, and they make that clear. So please, Santa, I would love if you could bring me some ideal clients this Christmas. The ideal deal. I just realized that the word deal is in ideal. And listen, you can't make ideal without I and a deal. An ideal deal for me has 3 components to it. The first, I'm getting it at better than market value. That's ideal. I want to be buying it for less than what it's going to appraise for, less than what the other houses are worth. And also, this isn't really market value, but I want it to be getting it for less than what I would have to pay to get a similar return in a different asset class. The second thing is the headache factor, which I tend to attribute to location. So I want it to be in the ideal location, right? I'd rather be buying property in Malibu than in a crime-infested area of somewhere in Chicago or something that's just struggling with finding their identity. So the headache factor is huge. I don't want a property that I'm going to constantly have to be solving puzzles and trying to figure out difficult things about tenants that aren't paying and people that are breaking into the house and squatters and all the issues that come from when you buy into a rough area. The third component is, of course, cash flow. I want it to cash flow. I want it to cash flow as much as it possibly can. I want it to be spitting off cash like a little elf at Santa's workshop, just spitting out toys. So those are my 3 things that I look for in the ideal deal. If I could get the ideal location for Christmas, what would it look like? This is actually a little more simple than you think. The first thing I look for is a constriction of supply. The ideal location is very difficult to build more units because when you get one, it's going to retain its value and increase its value much easier. The second thing I look for in location is a ever increasing input of demand. I want more human beings moving into that area than other areas. And if I could get both, more people moving in and constricted supply, those are the markets that explode where you do really well. The last thing that I look for in a location would be the wage development. I want it to be an area where wages are increasing faster than comparative areas. That could be different industries that are moving in there that pay more than others. That could be things like a huge hospital going in with high paying jobs that are going in there, or a tech company or a really big business. So if Oracle leaves the Bay Area in California and it moves into a different city and it's going to bring a bunch of high paying jobs, that's something I really want to be seeing in the location. And the bonus factor that I'll throw in is I just like warm areas better. I don't want to deal with an area with snow that has to be shoveled and roofs that go out from constantly having rain and snow dumped on them and pipes that burst if the property is vacant. I hate that stuff. I always try to buy in the sunny areas. I like to be in Florida. I like to be in Arizona. I like to be in California. I like to be in the South where none of this stuff happens. I mean, shoot, you could buy a property in California and it could have a literal hole in the roof and it might only be a problem 4 or 5 times a year because it rarely ever rains here. So if I can get an area with really good weather, I would prefer that. I just want to visit somewhere else for a white Christmas, right? I'll stay in someone else's home. It's Christmas time. We all want to see some snow, just not in my own property. The ideal contractor. All right, this is a good one. It's someone who already knows what you're trying to do and they've got a plan in place for you. They don't say, what do you want? And you got to figure it out. The ideal contractor walks the home, sees a plan and says to you, I think we should do this. This is how I could maximize it. They also look for ways to save you money. Hey, you don't need to do this. You could do this instead. It would save a lot of money. Or if we rewired it this way, it would be less expensive to run stuff from this end of the house to the other end of the house. So the ideal contractor is looking for ways to save you money. They're also looking for ways to improve the value of the property that you might not have seen. Hey, I can do this part for only this much money, and it would make your property worth more. And then the last piece is that they give you updates and they send you pictures and videos of what's going on. So you don't have to actually go to the job location. The ideal contractor keeps you up to speed with what's happening, communicates with the city for you, anticipates problems before they happen, and gives you an upfront pricing with a scope of work that's itemized so you know exactly what you're getting. The ideal agent. Oh, this is such a cool one. What do I want for Christmas in my real estate agent? Well, I want someone that can push back a little bit. I want someone that'll tell me, hey, in my market, this is what works. I don't think your plan's going to work here. I want somebody that doesn't just send me homes. This is a pet peeve of mine. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? No, if you think this is a house that I would want to buy, I want you to call the listing agent. It's listed at 1.1 million. I want you to say, hey, I got a guy. I think I can sell this for 950. Do we have a deal? And the listing agent says, no, but 975 might work. And when you call me, that's what you're telling me. Hey, David, I want to write an offer at 975 and see if we can get this $1.1 million house locked up. Here's the anticipated rent. Here's the anticipated expenses. Here's all the work I know you got to go do. We like it when it's done up front. The ideal agent is listening to the stuff that we're saying that we want, and they're also anticipating problems for us, and they're being very straightforward with that information. And if you want to increase your odds of finding a really good agent to help you with this, check out the agent finder we have at BiggerPockets. All you have to do is go to biggerpockets.com/agent finder, put in the name of the city where you want to buy, and you'll get a list of people in the BP community that are real estate agents that are more likely to know what you need and hopefully have been listening to videos like this so that they do a better job helping you. And lastly, if you love your agent, but you don't love the job they're doing, buy them one of my books for agents and help them get better. You can find those at biggerpockets.com/store. They're called Sold, Skill, and Scale. Grab a copy, send it to your agent, and be like, I love you. I want you to be better. This will get you there. And on this day of Christmas, my true love sent to me the ideal support system. On my Christmas wish list, I would love a better support system. What does that look like when you're buying real estate? Well, your handyman is one of the biggest pieces you need. There's always going to be little crazy things that go wrong, from needing to reset a router, to needing to fix some dry rot, to needing to figure out why a light switch that you're flipping isn't turning on. Sometimes all they have to do is change a fuse or flip a circuit breaker. Sometimes they need to tell you need an electrician, but you don't want to have to call a professional electrician every single time something's going wrong. You want one of those treasures of human beings that can step into situations and easily solve problems like a spa that isn't working or a refrigerator that had the light go out without charging you an arm and a leg. So your ideal support system definitely involves a handyman. You're also going to want a tax preparer and a bookkeeper. Man, having a really good bookkeeper so you can understand which months are good and which months are bad and which properties are performing well versus others is super helpful too. So don't forget the small stuff when you're shopping for me for Christmas. My ideal seller for Christmas time. Well, let's think about this. Your ideal seller is someone that actually understands why you're giving them the information that you are. Home sales are frequently misunderstood. It's easy for people to say, but I have crown molding, but I have a new fence. Don't you see the new oven that I put in? The problem is buyers decide the price they're going to pay for your house, not you. And they often don't care how much money you put into the house to make it custom fit for your likability. What instead buyers do is they look at every other house that's available on the market and they find the one they like the most that costs the least and they write the most competitive offer they think that they can get away with. So the ideal seller understands how to look at this from a buyer's perspective. They put their house in the position that will make buyers like it more, where it's priced more competitively than their competition and it's in better condition than their competition. Then they let their agent, me, work to get them the highest price possible once the buyer falls in love with it. Your ideal loan officer. Oh my God, I love this one because I spend so much time trying to train guys how to give really good service. First off, they're smart. They know about the different products and they're good communicators. They can tell it to you. A really good loan officer doesn't just say, do you want option A or B? They spell out options A, B, and they throw in C, and then they tell you the pros and cons of each one. And then they make a recommendation of which one they think would be best based on what they know about you. The ideal loan officer anticipates what could go wrong and communicates with you clearly, often with they're communicating is bad news. This is the case with you're getting loans. When you submit a loan for approval, there's all kinds of stuff underwriters look at and come back and need clarity on. An ideal loan officer prepares you for the fact you're going to have to provide supporting documentation so you don't just pull the hair out of your head and end up looking like me when they're saying, we need this, we need this, we need new income statements, we need a new letter from your job, we need more taxes, we need another proof of funds, even though we just got one 6 days ago. That stuff's always going to be frustrating in the process. So the ideal loan officer lets you know it's going to come and then helps you with that process to make it smoother. The ideal property manager. Oh, for Christmas, I would love to get more property managers that are really good. First off, they know the area like the back of their hand. Second off, they have a lot of experience with tenants, so they know which ones are going to be good and which ones are going to be bad and can help eliminate a lot of the problems for you before they happen. Third off, they can guide you into which properties would work better. They act as a consultant. So when you're considering a couple properties that your agent's proposing, the property manager can say, I like this one the most for these reasons. I think that's the one you should buy. That helps a ton. Another ideal trait to find in a property manager, and the last one that I'll give you on my Christmas list, and I hope it's on yours as well, is somebody who looks for ways to save you money. It's always easy when there's a problem to say, oh, just send the plumber and charge the landlord. And the next thing you know, you have a bill for $1,400 because they just had to tighten a washer on a sink somewhere. The ideal one goes in there and looks at what's going on and figures out if the tenant caused the problem and asks the tenant to fix it themselves. And if they can't, they send a handyman first who's very reasonably priced to fix your property before they just spend all of your money. So the ideal one spends your money like it's theirs. On my Christmas wish list, the ideal creative financing situation. Well, first off, you want to put no money in the property if possible. Putting less of your money and borrowing more from the person selling the house is a pretty popular and smart way to go about doing things as long as you have money in reserve. So I want to put less money down. I'd love to assume the existing mortgage because odds are rates are better than where they are right now if I'm assuming the mortgage. And if they're not, I could always refinance it later and get a better rate. It's got a seller who is willing to work with me to make this work and understands that they're not going to be getting the best possible return on their property, but they don't care because they want ease of use. And the last piece is it's not on a really crazy timeline. I don't want to feel crunched to have to make a decision or push everything to the finish line and not do the due diligence. So the ideal creative financing situation allows me time to get my inspection reports, to get my pest inspection reports, to look at the property to make sure that the rents that I'm expecting and the tenant base that I'm hoping for are all going to work out. Last but not least, on my list, What are the ideal market conditions that I would love for Christmas? Well, first off, I love market conditions where I'm not competing with as many other buyers. I really pay attention to how many other buyers are in the pool because buyers drive markets. And if you've ever followed me, you've heard me talk about this a lot. So I want to be buying into a market where I don't have as much competition from other buyers. I also want to be looking to a market with upside. So I want to see that there's some way that the property I'm buying now or the situation I'm in now will improve in the future. That could be rates going down from where they are right now. That could be values of properties going up from where they are right now. That could mean less potential properties to rent in the future than the one that I'm buying right now, because that's going to increase my rents. Or it could mean a better overall economic situation so that my tenants are making more money and they can afford the higher rents that are going to be coming. So there's always something I'm looking for in ideal market conditions where I have less competition, but some area that we're moving to that is going to be better than where we are now. And then I pick the properties based off of what situation that specific area is looking to move into. So Santa, I would love if you could bring me market conditions just like those. All right, there you have it. These are my 12 items on my wish list lining up with the 12 days of Christmas. If anybody wants to get me something for Christmas, I would love it if you could get me these. And lastly, I want to know, what do you want for Christmas? What are your ideal situation? What's on your wish list for real estate? What would you love to see? Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe to our channel.